Emma was never one to indulge in ghost stories or the supernatural. She preferred facts, evidence, and the steady logic she found in her science major at Brightcliff University. Yet, the shadowy hush of the campus library late at night drew her with an undeniable allure. She blamed her fascination on the building's history, constructed in the 1930s, expanded repeatedly. It now formed a labyrinth of dusty archives and hidden nooks. Emma often studied there until closing. It was quiet, reliable, and possessed that faint smell of parchment and old wood she found comforting. One evening, she heard about a rumor floating among the library's student workers, a forbidden book somewhere in the deepest stacks. Whispers said it could make anything written in it come true. She dismissed it as silly, an urban legend born from bored undergrads. But the more she studied in that building at odd hours, the more she overheard cryptic references to the book that can't be cataloged or the hidden codex that changes reality. Curious, she probed a few staff members, who brushed her off with half smiles and disclaimers. You don't want to go looking for nonsense. Still, the rumor tugged at her. She wondered if it was just campus folklore, akin to the ghost stories about the basement bathrooms or the phantom bursar's office. But something about the specificity, an old, unlisted book that apparently altered fate, struck her as more interesting than typical ghost tales. She never believed in magic or curses, but she was intrigued by what might be an elaborate hoax, or maybe a bizarre but genuine artifact. She let the idea simmer in the back of her mind. Little did she know, her fleeting curiosity would lead her into nightmares beyond her imagining. Emma's schedule was packed with lab work and late shifts. One Thursday, after finishing a grueling project, she drifted into the library's third floor at midnight. She liked studying late because fewer students roamed the aisles, leaving her the quiet calm she needed. That night, as she hunted for a reference text on biochemistry, she noticed a small door near the end of a seldom-used corridor. Its label said Storage G2, something she'd never noticed before. The main library was set to close in half an hour, but curiosity got the better of her. She tried the knob, surprisingly unlocked. Inside was a cramped storeroom lined with battered shelves. Flicking on the overhead light, she saw old duplicates, outdated tomes, random manuscripts, possibly items awaiting processing or disposal. The space smelled of stale paper and faint mold. Her eyes skimmed titles, outdated histories, damaged dictionaries, a half-burnt set of encyclopedias. Then, in a darker corner, she noticed a plain black book with no spine label. It stood out among the dusty volumes with its utter lack of markings. Intrigued, she picked it up. The cover felt oddly textured, like old leather, though she couldn't identify the type. The edges were worn, corners nibbled by time. Flipping it open, she found the interior mostly blank, no publisher, no introduction, just page after page of empty lines, reminiscent of a journal. But around page 5, she spotted faint script scrawled in archaic handwriting. He who writes here writes truth into being. Beware the cost. A chill prickled her arms. This must be the rumored forbidden book. She reread the cryptic lines. The penmanship looked old, the ink a faded brown. No further explanation. She hesitated, uncertain. A sense of hush fell over her, as though the room itself was listening. With a breath, she tucked the book under her arm. She told herself it was just a curiosity, no real harm to examine it. She left quickly, hearing the library's closing announcements echo in the halls. Back in her dorm room, Emma examined the black book under her desk lamp. Its pages were thick, unlined except for those few scribbles. If it was indeed the object of campus lore, then writing in it supposedly made those statements reality. Sounded impossible. Of course, like a child's fantasy. Yet her pulse raced at the notion. Smiling wryly, she decided on a harmless test. She opened to a blank page near the middle and wrote in neat letters, "Tomorrow, I will find a $10 bill outside my dorm." She felt silly. But hey, it was a small, easy test. She closed the book, set it aside, and promptly forgot about it while she crammed for a quiz. Next day, after class, she stepped from her dorm and recalled the sentence she'd penned. She glanced around. At first, nothing. But as she turned a corner, she spotted a folded $10 bill lying on the sidewalk. Startled, she picked it up. Could be a coincidence, right? A fluke. Yet her heart pounded. She tried telling herself that random lost money wasn't so rare. But she couldn't deny the eerie timing. That evening, a swirl of excitement and fear churned in her mind. If this was real, the implications were massive. But she also recalled the scribbled warning, "Beware the cost." She tried a second test, writing, "I will receive a gift from a friend tomorrow." The next afternoon, her classmate spontaneously handed her a new set of fancy lab pens as thanks for study help. Another improbable coincidence? Her stomach knotted. Skepticism waned. The book's power seemed real. She tested a third time. A bigger request, "I will ace my upcoming exam." She studied moderately, took the test, and surprisingly felt every question was straightforward. The result, a perfect score. She never scored perfect on that professor's notoriously tricky quizzes. Now she felt a creeping dread. She realized that if the book truly shaped reality, the line between possible and impossible blurred dangerously. She recalled the note, "Beware the cost." She hadn't noticed any negative consequences yet, but maybe she just hadn't triggered anything severe. Curiosity warred with caution. Could she push her luck further? The next few days, Emma tried to suppress the book's allure. She locked it in her desk, focusing on normal life. But her mind wandered, imagining what she could accomplish, solve financial woes, help friends, or unravel bigger secrets. She pictured rewriting campus rules or awarding herself scholarships. Potential soared, but the cautionary scribble lingered in her mind. She confided in her best friend, Nina, who listened wide-eyed but grew alarmed. "This is insane. Are you sure it's not a random chance?" Emma showed her the exact pages. Nina remained skeptical but uneasy. "What if messing with reality backfires?" Nina asked. "You don't know the consequences." Emma admitted she'd seen no direct harm, only a sense of intangible dread. But curiosity overshadowed her fears. Meanwhile, Emma scoured campus lore, searching for any record of a black book that changed fate. She found references to a cursed codex rumored to appear in libraries across centuries, always causing tragedies. Another snippet from a hidden campus forum recounted a student from 2 decades ago who found an odd black book and ended up in an asylum after attempting to rewrite entire events. The story ended abruptly, fueling Emma's anxiety. One night, she woke from nightmares of lines scrawling themselves across the pages, conjuring ghastly images. She discovered the book had slid from the locked drawer onto her desk. She assumed she'd forgotten to secure it, but a chill lodged in her gut. The situation felt bigger than her. After a stressful week, curiosity overcame caution. Emma tested a more significant wish. She wrote, "Let my advanced chemistry professor cancel tomorrow's exam." She wrote it with a trembling hand, imagining relief from the grueling test. Then she shut the book, heart in her throat. Sure enough, the next morning, an urgent email declared the exam postponed due to the professor's sudden illness. Real? Or manipulated by the book? She felt a pang of guilt. Did her desire cause harm to her professor? She recalled the warning again, beware the cost. A wave of regret washed over her. This was no small coincidences anymore. She was potentially hurting real people inadvertently. She attempted to rectify it by writing, "My professor quickly recovers with no complications." The professor returned the next day. Apparently fine. Emma breathed easier. But the moral weight was heavy. She realized the book's power was too dangerous for trifling advantage. One evening, Nina approached with a tearful face. Her scholarship was at risk due to a sudden administrative glitch. She feared dropping out. Pleading, she asked Emma for help. Emma, though anxious, wanted to save her friend's future. She opened the book and wrote a careful line: "Nina's scholarship error is reversed, and her tuition fully covered." The next day, Nina's paperwork was miraculously sorted, and an extra stipend even appeared. Overjoyed, Nina hugged Emma, though both felt an uneasy hush in the background. A day later, a weird chain of events rattled campus: unexplainable computer malfunctions, random power outages, a small library fire that destroyed part of the archives. Rumors spread about weird energy swirling. Nina confided in Emma that she felt uneasy about the scholarship fix. "It's like something else is happening each time the book changes reality," Nina said. Emma recalled the cryptic line about cost. Maybe each rewriting of fate caused ripples, strange accidents, or misfortune elsewhere. She grew paranoid, noticing small tragedies around campus. A student randomly broke an arm in an improbable slip. A lab experiment exploded unexpectedly. A professor's car got stuck under freak debris from a campus construction site. Was the book's power balancing the scales? Haunted by guilt, Emma decided enough was enough. She placed the book back in the library's storeroom, hoping to sever ties. But she couldn't forget it. She worried someone else might find it, unleash worse chaos. She considered turning it into an authority. But who would believe her tale? Some archivist might dismiss it and toss it. Or, worse, someone unscrupulous might exploit it. That weekend, Nina found Emma crying in her dorm, reading a newly discovered forum thread. The post, dated years ago, described another Brightcliff student who found a black book that made wishes come true at a cost. It ended with a frantic final entry: "My roommate vanished after writing something big in it. The book punishes reckless ambition. I'm leaving campus tonight. God help me." The poster never updated again. Seemingly vanished themselves. The dread soared. Nina insisted they must destroy or bury the book, free the campus from its destructive influence. Emma half agreed, but worried about the rumored tragedies that followed attempts to forcibly destroy it. She found references in campus myths. The forbidden text cannot simply be burned or shredded, it reappears, each attempt fueling its wrath. She felt stuck, overshadowed by the knowledge that they had inadvertently fueled the book's power. The next night, after the campus library closed, Emma and Nina snuck into the storeroom to retrieve the book. They planned to seal it with something, but the storeroom shelf was empty. Someone else had taken it. Alarmed, they searched the corridor, found no sign. This was disastrous. Who had the book now? They split up, discreetly checking corners of the library. Nina eventually found a first-year student in a secluded reading nook, flipping through the black book with wide eyes. He apparently found it lying on a desk. Nina quietly approached, trying to talk him away from writing anything. But startled, the boy scribbled a line: "I want to be the top student with guaranteed success." Nina gasped. Before she could stop him, the boy snapped the book shut and fled. A hush fell. Emma realized some unstoppable chain reaction might be triggered. Panicking, Emma and Nina cornered the boy in the library hall. He looked triumphant, ignoring their pleas to return the book. He insisted he deserved success, mocking their warnings. Suddenly, a wave of dizziness swept over them, as if the air crackled with static. Lights flickered. The boy smirked, claiming the book was just a tool, no big consequences. He stuffed it in his bag and strode off. Emma felt that primal dread again. She and Nina tried to follow, but a sudden library alarm rang. Some motion sensor glitch locked down the floor. By the time they bypassed it, the boy was gone. Over the next day, rumors exploded that first year soared academically, got chosen for a prestigious award, overshadowing older top students. Meanwhile, campus chaos grew, unexplainable blackouts, minor lab explosions, an elevator jam that trapped a group for hours. A dark vibe thickened, as though reality strained under unstoppable rewriting. Emma realized the boy might keep writing bigger demands, fueling more catastrophic side effects. She and Nina hatched a final plan. They must retrieve the book at any cost and attempt a known method from the old forum rumors. Someone posted about returning the book to its origin, an obscure corner of the library archives with a specific sealing ritual. Perhaps a rumored incantation or symbolic final entry in the book. The details were vague, but it was the only lead. Tracking the boy's schedule, Emma discovered he lived in West Hall. That night, they staked out the dorm corridor. By 10 p.m., they saw him slip out, presumably heading to the library. They followed at a distance. The sky was overcast, a biting wind lashing the campus. They found him in a deserted corner near the library's old archives section, flipping pages, writing something. He seemed possessed by ambition, muttering how he'd rewrite entire departmental grants, secure unstoppable success, bend the school to his will. Emma's stomach churned at the megalomania. Nina demanded he stop. He just sneered, claiming the book's power was infinite. Emma lunged to grab it. The boy fought back. In the scuffle, the book tumbled across the floor. A violent gust of wind or intangible force knocked them aside. Lights overhead bursting, plunging the corridor into strobing darkness. The boy shrieked, wresting it back. He began scribbling again, presumably erasing Emma and Nina's interference. Emma tackled him, tears streaming, desperate to prevent catastrophe. Suddenly, the boy froze, eyes wide in horror. The book glowed with a spectral light, pages flipping on their own. The hallway air turned electric, a roaring hum filling their ears. The boy's face contorted. Panic replaced arrogance. In a flash, he vanished, just gone, leaving only a swirl of swirling dust motes in the flickering corridor light. The book dropped to the floor, silent. Emma and Nina stared, trembling. They felt the corridor's intangible tension subside slightly. The boy was gone, absorbed by his own reckless rewriting. They approached the book. Its pages lay open, showing his last line partially scrawled, "I want the power to," trailing off. Terrifying proof of the cost. Emma fought sobs. No time to waste. They took the book, heading deeper into the library's restricted archives. Past locked doors, they discovered an old reading room rumored to date back to the library's original structure. The place was dim, the smell of ancient leather and parchment thick. Nina found a worn ledger referencing an archaic returning ritual. It said, "Place the codex at the heart of the old archives from which it was first withdrawn. Inscribe the final line, disclaiming possession and sealing fate. Only in acceptance of the book's existence, not its use, can the cycle be paused." Though vague, they followed it. placing the black book in a dusty slot within a hidden alcove. A trembling hush overcame them. Emma used a pencil to write on the last blank page, "We relinquish the power of this book. Let it rest beyond mortal grasp. Truth unaltered." She closed it. The overhead lamp flickered, then stabilized, the air growing calm. She heard Nina's ragged breathing in the hush. They waited, expecting some dramatic reaction. For a moment, nothing. Then a faint sense of release, as if an unseen tension left the air. The corridor lights in the library brightened steadily. Emma dared hope the curse was contained. She replaced the ledger, feeling a swirl of relief. They left the old archives, locking the door behind them. The sky outside was streaked with pre-dawn light. Campus quiet. In the days following, campus unrest subsided. Fewer freak accidents occurred. The missing boy's disappearance baffled authorities. Some believed he dropped out abruptly. Others suspected foul play. Emma and Nina told no one the truth, not wanting to be implicated or seen as insane. They endured the swirl of rumors quietly. Emma checked on her own meddling. Nina's scholarship remained intact. The professor was fine. Her own exam cancellations didn't unravel. It seemed the new crisis was averted. She felt intense relief, yet also guilt over the boy's fate. Did the book claim him for his reckless hunger for rewriting reality? One evening, Nina timidly asked, "Do you think it's truly sealed forever?" Emma shrugged. "I hope so," she replied. She recalled that the old forum references said the book often re-emerged over decades. Perhaps they had just paused it. She considered burning the archives or contacting some paranormal experts, but rationally concluded this quiet resolution might be best. Campus life carried on. Emma resumed her studies, ignoring the swirl of supernatural rumors. She felt she learned a harsh lesson. The lines between desire and consequence can twist perilously when messing with unknown powers. Months passed. Emma nearly forgot the black book. Then, on the eve of graduation, while clearing out her dorm, she discovered a single page from the book tucked in her old notes. She had no memory of taking it. A single line was scrawled: "Nothing remains hidden forever. The book awaits its next reader." Emma froze, heart pounding. The line glowed faintly under the room's lamp. Did this mean the seal might break again? Or that the next curious soul might soon find it? She crumpled the page, intending to toss it, but felt a chill run through her. She sank onto her bed, a hollow sense of dread in her chest. That night, she dreamed of the library's archives door swinging open on its own, faint scratching from inside, as if the black book flipped its pages, calling. She woke in a sweat, unsure if it was a mere nightmare or a premonition. She could do nothing but graduate and leave campus, hoping the cycle truly ended. Yet as she packed her car, she glimpsed across the quad the silhouette of a tall, battered figure near the library steps. She blinked. No one was there. Or was that a flicker of a black cover in someone's arms? The air felt heavy. She shook her head, got in her car, and drove off, tears stinging her eyes. And so the forbidden book remains hidden in the old archives, perhaps sealed, or perhaps biding its time, waiting for the next curious mind to open it, scribble a line, and unravel reality's fragile threads.